of Deloitte Asia Pacific. He is a member of the India leadership team and serves the talent executive leadership of the Deloitte Asia Pacific. Mr. Nathan has over 35 years of experience in HR management across diverse industries, including manufacturing, services, telecom, IT, and professional services. He has vast experience in building and leading high-performance team in both multinational and Indian organizations. A respected voice of the HR profession in India, Mr. Nathan speaks regularly at several national and global forums on contemporary HR matters. He has been recognized as a distinguished alumnus by XLRI by his alma mater. He has been conferred several awards and honors throughout his career. He was recognized and conferred a Lifetime Achievement Award 2021 by Economic Times and Business People. He served as the National President of National Human Resources Development Network, the largest body of HR professional in the country. He was the past chairman of Sumedas, a not-for-the-profit non-profit education and research body devoted to organization development. Mr. Nathan is on the advisory board of the Economic Times, a leading newspaper devoted to the economic matters, and the advisory board of Xavier Institute of Management. Mr. Nathan is an author of a bestseller, The Heart of Work. He is a regular blogger and HR power influencer on LinkedIn and Twitter, and has an active presence on social media and is well known for his office truths post on LinkedIn and Twitter. Thank you, Nathan sir, to be here to enlighten us again. People from across India have joined here. And apart from Nathan sir, we have very energetic, very visionary leader, Mr. Prem Singh is also with us. So let me introduce a little bit about our this North India President, National HRD Network, Mr. Prem Singh. So Mr. Prem Singh sir is President Group and CHRO JK Group right now. And he has been the President and Group CHRO for Vocard, Mumbai. And Mr. Singh has been Vice President HR at Piramal, Mumbai, and has worked on various leadership roles in HR. And he has been Honorary President Delhi NCR chapter also in National HRD Network. Currently, he is our North India President. And he is from IIT Delhi. He has done his master in management from IIT Delhi. So we are grateful to be you on the board, sir. Mr. Nathan, Mr. Prem Singh, both will give us a light on the book which is written by Nathan sir, The Heart of the Work. So we are happy to hear you, and we have with us our respected Dhananjay sir also. So he has been Director General of National HRD Network, and he has been the leadership role in AIMA also. I have attended many AIMA program also when I was in Delhi NCR. So I saw his leadership. And we have with us Avinash Khurana ji, who have organized this webinar, and we have Nalin sir, and we have various other chapter president, secretaries, and we have our secretary, Mr. Armin Chauhan is also with us. In last, he will express word of thanks to all of you. And we have many HR professionals and other colleagues from Uttarakhand chapter and across India. Not only National HRD Network, but other various groups and organizations. Team is also with us. So thank you so much, sir. And thank you, in spite of being not well, you are with us. This is the kind of commitment, sir, we can see in you, sir. And that's really motivate us to be always, available for any exigency. Thank you so much, sir. This is really nice to see you. Thank you, sir. Prem Singh, sir, over to you. You can please begin the session.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Altaf Bhai. Good evening, namaskar, adab, sat sri akal. Vanakkam to those who are joining from South, Kem Cho, those who are joining from Gujarat. Namaskar, Kemo Nache, my friends joining from Bengal. Good evening, everyone. Firstly, I think this session, if there is somebody who we must thank for this session, very, with lot of gratitude, is Nathan. Not just because he has authored the book and he agreed to join us for this session, but because of two reasons. Number one, just about 1 hour back, I was talking to him and I learned that he's running a temperature of 102. And I proposed to him that we must postpone this session because it will not be fair on our part to drag you into the session when you are already running a temperature of 102. And he said, प्रेम भाई जबान की बात है, जबान दिया, एक बार कमिट किया तो I have to honor it. That is a leadership. That is the commitment. That is the respect. That is the gravitas which Nathan brings to the table. That's number one. Number two, in the realm of HR, in the profession of HR, if there is somebody who is an outstanding storyteller, who is a natural connector with the people, it is our national president, Nathan. Nathan, since I committed to you that we would not have this session for longer than 30 minutes, and although you insisted that no, you want to do the entire session, but we take it as your token of commitment, but we are also equally mindful and we must conduct ourselves in a responsible manner. Therefore, it will be our right today that we will exercise our discretion, that we would not allow you to speak for more than half an hour. Normally, you are the boss. I would not say this to you, but today the situation is different. For your good health, we would not allow you to stay on for more than half an hour. So kindly allow us to exercise that discretion. It is all for your good health. We are also aware that your throat has been very severely impacted, and you have been also nurturing the infection. So we would therefore take it as a very reasonable proposition that we shouldn't drag this for more than half an hour. Having said this, my welcome and thanks to everyone who have joined all across the country, all the audience. On the screen, we are able to see 55, but on the Facebook, on the YouTube, there are hundreds of people who are live, who are connected with us. To all of those hundreds of people, my good evening and namaskar to everyone. Welcome to this webinar. Starting question to you, Nathan, and I'm sure this is a key question which everyone would be asking. And for the information of everyone, this webinar is more in the format of question answers. I'll be putting a lot of questions to Nathan. Nathan will be responding. The audience, please feel free to put a question in the chat box. Should you feel the need of raising any question, I will curate some of them and I'll bring forward some of those questions to Nathan so that he could answer. So Nathan, first question to you. What prompted you, what inspired you to write this book, The Heart of Work, which has become such a popular book within few weeks, and it is one of the best sellers across the country today. Everywhere, everyone is talking about this. So what inspired you to write this book? So if you could share your thoughts.
So to all of you on the call, a very warm welcome. I wish I were in a much better state today. A great question, Prem. We are all creatures of our surroundings, people that we interact with. Many of us in person, many of us on the social media. And I've been writing a few of these blogs. And one day, somebody suggested that I should make this into a mala of stories. He said, "Aapke paas to bahut sari stories hain. So why don't you string this into a book?" It was COVID times. I felt that I should give myself 6 months. Actually, the story, the book in itself got written pretty quickly. Editing takes time. So there were very good publishers who were after this. So anyway, that took a little bit of time. I'm eternally grateful to 3 sets of people. One, people who are the very young. I never realized that stories are very popular with young people. They're also very popular with people who are older. And they are the most popular with people of my age. So I felt, why not write a book and bring all this together? Because this is generation agnostic. So why did I write this book? Not because my family was after me, which they were for a long, long time. But I just felt that it'll be a good idea if, instead of leaving these things in bits and pieces all over, what if I generated, and there's a lot of content available within me. So I think I should do that. So people on the call today, I will say this to each one of you. Each of you has a story waiting to be told. All of us have stories. The moot point is, many times we think that, oh, I do not know whether this is good enough. There is nothing called a good enough story. All stories are good. All your stories will be fantastic. All you have to do is make the effort of writing them down. I was lucky, eternally grateful to COVID, and that's how the book was born. Prem, that's a great question. Thank you so much for asking.
Thank you, Nathan. And Nathan, I know this has become one of the big hits on all the shops, one of the best sellers in the last few months. For those who are yet to read this book, what are the key messages or the key lessons one can expect to get from this book? If you could narrate maybe 3, 4, 5 key lessons. I know it's difficult to summarize, but I would still, for the benefit of larger audience, your take.
So Prem, one of the things that I did when I started writing this book was, there will be no advice. There will be no, hey, if you do this, then this is what will happen. It is not pedantic. It's not a moral science story. These are stories of the life in the journey that I have traversed. So that way, it's not prescriptive. Every time you read a story, one thing will certainly happen, Prem, is you will relate with this in your context. So every story, you will know that there is something that has happened that in your own life, it makes a lot of meaning. So none of my stories have any of the, so if you ask me, what are the 5 things that you will note from the book? I can't answer this, because it is what you make of it. You read a story, you will get back to the story of your own life, and then you will be able to make meaning of that, because that is your story. So Prem, that's a very difficult question. You asked me this question. It's not pedantic, it's not prescriptive, it will never say, this is what you should be doing. Kuch nahi. It is what it is. But thank you for asking.
Thank you, Nathan. Nathan, you as my boss, normally you should have the right of asking a lot of questions. But today, it's my turn to ask you a lot of questions. just to get inspiration and also make sure that everyone on this call get inspired. So moving forward, Nathan, you are an outstanding storyteller yourself. In your life, can you recall one or two highly inspiring stories of somebody who has touched you, who has impacted you, who has shaped you as a leader? Maybe a family member, maybe a friend, maybe a boss, maybe a colleague, anyone, maybe one or two, if you could share with us.
So I can tell you the story of an old lady. This old lady had all of one leg. She had only one leg. She used to walk around with crutches. She lived in a palatial one room, which was everything of kitchen, dining room, drawing room, bedroom, everything in one room. That room had no doors because it was almost in the aisle. So for privacy, she had these jute bags. If you have seen them, Prem, these brown colored jute bags.
Right.
She used to open them out and then she used to stitch them, and that used to be her privacy curtain. She had about 15 people in that room, just one room. She was a woman of very modest means. Every day in the evening, she used to go to her drawing room, or the living room as she called it, which was basically the platform which was just outside the house. And she used to sit down. And there were a lot of people who used to mill around her, normally very, very young children, because she used to relate stories. And her stories were very, very absorbing. Every time she shared a story, people in just around her would be so much connected with her. One day, and of course in her hand, she had a small bowl where she used to have some curd rice, and she used to give it to all the people who were there, which was a good incentive for people to go and meet with her. One day, when she was recounting a story, these stories are normally from Mahabharata, Ramayana, ityadi, ityadi. Anyway, when she was recounting a story, one of the boys in that audience got distracted and looked somewhere else. When the boy got distracted somewhere else, the old lady got very annoyed and she slapped that boy. And that boy had tears in his eyes. And she said, "Grandma, why did you beat me?" So the old lady said, "I'm speaking to you and you get distracted." And the boy said, "Grandma, what do? I saw a red colored car go by." "What about the red colored car?" "Grandma, can I ever sit in a car?" Now this, for a boy who used to go to a corporation school.
Nathan, you want to sip some water? Just take some water yourself. Yeah? Okay, fine.
The boy used to go to a corporation school, which was a government school. They didn't have tables and chairs. You have to sit on the ground. And but the boy was a very curious child. So, "Grandma, can I ever sit in a car?" So the grandmother says, "Beta, you can sit in a car, but if you sit in a car, you must be the driver and the car must belong to you." Now this boy's eyes just went up like that, lit up. And then he says, "Okay, but if you're sitting behind, the car must be yours, the driver must be somebody that you employ, and you should be going someplace. This is too much for the boy to even absorb. So he tells the grandmother, Grandma, can I ever do this? He says, of course. All you have to do is work very hard. That's all you have to do. And believe in yourself. Every day, Prem, when I sit in my car and I have a red color, one of those Hyundais, and as I'm setting out to work, I remember the grandmother. Because the grandmother that spoke that day was my grandmother, and the boy who's speaking to you is yours truly.
Fantastic.
I cannot tell you how inspired I am every time I remember this old lady. You're giving hope to somebody who had really no hope. Things improved for me, Prem. Many things happened in my life. But one thing I'll always remember, that the woman who made the greatest difference on that particular day was my dear grandmother.
Fantastic. That's incredible. That's just outstanding, Nathan. Fantastic. Nathan, another question. And this is really more for the youngsters. The young HR professionals who are entering into HR, wanting to make it big, wanting to grow in their careers, what are those 1 or 2 or 3, 4 nuggets you can share with them based on your rich experience, based on your stories that you have described so nicely in your book? Could you summarize it in few, maybe 3, 4 key messages for the youngsters, for the HR professionals?
So, Prem, I think I shared this with you. I have no messages. But I'll share a couple of stories with you. Many, many years ago, I was working in my first job. I got a letter which said, we are pleased to invite you to this particular company. And that company was the bluest of blue chips in the country. I was even surprised why they even hired me. I got a letter which said, when you come to the railway station, there will be a car waiting for you. And so don't worry, they will take you to the guest house. Life will be good. Next day, you'll have to meet the CEO of the company. There was this place. This was in the heart of Bihar, currently Jharkhand. Now, I have a reputation, Prem, that every time I stay in a place for more than 8 years, the state splits. It happened to me in Bihar. And the second time when I came to Hyderabad split. State split. Anyway, back to the story. When I landed in Gomia, which is really back of beyond, there's not a single soul in sight. Nobody was there. I used to carry something called a hold on. Now I see a fair number of people who are on the call today who will comprehend what a hold on is. It's just like a mattress kind of a thing, and you can put all your clothes inside and roll it. It's rather heavy. In those days, you didn't have trolleys. So I picked one of those, pretty heavy. And I went all the way up and down on that really, really steep platform. When I came down, I saw a beautiful navy colored Peugeot car. That's one of those very antique cars, which is just incredible. And there was a gentleman with a white shirt and a brown colored trouser. I went up to him, and at the moment he saw me, he wished me, he came up to me, and immediately I knew that he was my driver. Then I said, can you put this in the dicky? So that gentleman was even shorter than I am. He picked up that very heavy load. He put that into the dicky of the car. And then he sat in the front. I sat behind. He started asking me a lot of questions, all in Hindi. And I was getting very irritated with a man who spoke too much, and that to a driver. When I reached the guest house, and as soon as I alighted, I recognized Prem. I came from what I thought, still think, is one of the finest HR institutions in the country. And I was a gold medalist and all that, So I had ego all over me. And as soon as I alighted, I saw 3 or 4 people and they all saluted me. And now I felt much better. And as I started going towards the guest house, this driver, he made one last attempt. He waved out to me and he welcomed me. Again, all in Hindi. And I said, thank you, and went on. Next day, I was supposed to meet the CEO, a fantastic gentleman. Everybody knew him. And I was told that he's a very strict man. Time was 7:30 in the morning when I was to meet him. So 7:20, I was in the sidelines. And 7:25, I walked all the way. A very large corridor, all woodwork. He had a large room. Dr. Shivan Verma was his name. I knocked on the door. And he said, yes. And as I entered the room, this gentleman in his factory overalls was facing the wall. And then he turned around. When he turned around, the first thing I asked him was, Ari, what are you doing there? So he looked at me and he said, Mr. Nathan, I'm Shivan Verma, and I was your driver yesterday.
Oh.
I said, I was speechless. How do I even converse with a gentleman? Then he said, why don't you stay back for some tea? Rain, that's the first time in my life I didn't drink tea. This was Darjeeling tea with Liberty guy, came and poured all this stuff, but I could not drink because here was a man who was such a simple gentleman. And as a meeting came to a close, and I was walking towards the door, he just said something which I remembered even today. He says, Nathan, education must be used for good purpose. Education must not be worn as epaulets on your shoulders. Thank you. Good day. One of the nice things that he did, Prem, is he never spoke about this, Prem. He never spoke about this. There are many people who will come and make light of it. When you have all these company get-togethers, they can always poke fun at you. That day, I learned my first lesson in humility. So
fantastic. Nathan, one of the most important thing, one of the many things rather that characterize your stories is all your stories are dil se. All your stories are unique and all your stories are so inspiring and extremely enriching in terms of learning. Thank you for sharing that. Since I promised, and it is something that I would exercise today, Nathan, for your good health, we would not want to have you speak for more than half an hour. So this is the last question, because we know that you are running temperature of 102 degrees. Your throat is not fine. One last question. In your book, there are a lot of examples, lot of stories, lot of anecdotes. Personally, which one you are extremely fond of yourself?
First thing is, Prem, let's say you have two children and somebody asks you, tell me which child do you like the most? Very difficult to respond. But I will share a story that inspires me every day. So, as I told you, I joined this wonderful multinational, and I still think that it is one of the finest companies I've ever worked for. And my boss was an outstanding man, an army officer retired. And when you go to the factory, you don't really dress yourself up, but he was always at his best. His entire demeanor was that of a very, very charming man who was dressed neatly. I was a bachelor, I couldn't care less. And one of the things that I hate to do was even clean my shoes. And one day I realized I had to walk all the way to the factory. And we have a lot of dust and grime, and Bihar, the roads, there are really no roads. When you walk to there's a lot of dust and grime and all that. My shoes used to be very muddy, Prem. All I used to do was, before I got into the office, I used to stomp a little bit so that the mud gets off. One day, it rained. When it rained, my shoes got cleaned. When my shoes got cleaned, my boss looked at me and he said, Nathan, your shoes are shiny. How do I tell him I have nothing to do with it? I was just fortunate. That's it. It rained. But what do you think I did, Prem, before I went to work the next day?
Polish your shoes.
Prem, I still polish my shoes today. And I learned
Fantastic.
this magic lesson. One day, at least one time in a day, catch somebody doing something right. We all are kind of designed to find fault. Ye theek nahi hai, wo theek nahi hai, this is not right and that is not right. Can we do this once a day? And at home, it works wonders. At the office, even more so. I remember when I met my mother, the first thing I told her, after of course all this happened, I met my mother and I said, Ma, your saree is beautiful. And her first question from her was, Beta, tu chahta kya hai? What do you want? And 2 minutes later, where was she? She was in front of a mirror and she really wanted to see whether her saree was great. Recognition is very important, Prem. If there is one thing I learned very early in my life, it's the power of recognition. And it's not a big recognition. You don't need a big medal, a scroll of honor. Kuch nahi. But it is words which come from here. That makes a big difference, Prem. Back to you.
Thank you, Nathan. Such a wonderful set of stories. I wish we could continue, we could go on.
Prem, I have a request.
Yes.
For people who are on the call today, at about 5 o'clock, Prem had this advice for me. He says, Nathan, if you're running temperature, and if you're insistent on coming, take a Calpol. So I took one of those. Right now, my temperature appears to be much better. Of course, I'm still running some fever. But given that there are so many people on the call, if there are some questions from anybody, I'll be very happy to take them. Of course, we won't go all the 9 yards, but very happy to take any questions, any reflections, anybody.
People can post their comments, their questions in the chat box, and we can take some of them. Any questions? In the meantime, Nathan, let's, yes. In the meantime, Nathan, let's take another subject. The HR in the last 2.5 years has been extremely busy, at the same time extremely impactful in many ways, more ways, in several ways, and really made an impact on the lives of people. Also, it came in the forefront. Based on your experiences of life, how do you see HR continuing to make an impact and raise the bar of being there in the mid of in the circle of influence, and really continue this journey of being there in the forefront? A lot of people argue that this was just a situational stuff, but how do you really sustain? A lot of people keep on asking this question.
So, Prem, I have a very short answer for this. I think being at the table, doing this, doing that, knowing the business, all that is passé. But the COVID taught us 3 things. First is connect. Second is develop. Develop right from the heart. And the third one is care. So take a look at all the policies that we have. Take a look at everything A to Z. And then ask ourselves, are we in the right zone? So if you ask me, the CDC of connect, develop, and care is a mantra that I personally learned through the COVID. It's worked wonders for me.
Thank you so much. There is a question from Mr. Nagendra Prasad. Everyone describes leadership in their own way. According to you, what are 3 critical attributes of a leader?
I think the first attribute is a person who's a leader must have a vision. When I say vision, it's not a very, all of us are leaders who are on the call today, but at least they must know what they are heading to. Simple. Number 1. None of what we do, we can do in isolation. We do this through people. So a leader is one who cares for his people, who connects with the people, develops them, cares for them. So I think that's the second part, which is the people part. Third one is a leader needs to really look at 2 elements that keep people within an organization. First, are they learning? People who are within an organization, are they learning? Second one, are they growing? If we manage to do this, these 3 things, and genuinely so, because there are a lot of stakeholders we have. These stakeholders, in their own ways, they come up with a gazillion number of things. But if you have the heart in the right place, it's important. And the last one is, you must be able to stand up. A good leader is one who can stand up. Prem, one story, Prem?
Yes, fantastic. Please go ahead. We love your stories.
So, just about some 10 years ago. I'm just using 10 years as a notion. There was a person who had left the shores of India and gone to the US. And before he went to the US, he went to Canada. And from Canada, he went to the US. Unfortunately, he contracted something called brain fever, encephalitis. People who get brain fever, I don't think they ever survive. Chances of survival are almost 0.5%. So people who were on the call, there was a call to decide something important. Here was a gentleman who left the shores of India, went to the US. They tried for 6 months to get him ready and in fit position to resume work. They gave up. His wife in India kept on saying, hey, I think we have better doctors in India. I think you should send the person home. Sending somebody from the US who's unwell requires an air ambulance, which means you'll have to go through some 5 different halts. Why? It's a chartered plane. Second, air ambulances have restrictions. They cannot be in the air for more number of hours. And it was going to cost an arm and a leg, almost $750,000 US or some crazy number like that. And on that particular evening, there were people from across the world. There was a CEO, COO, you name it, everybody was on the call. 2 minutes to time. That is, the call was to end at 12 p.m. At 11:58, there was a general understanding that the boy would be put into hospice, and which means that nothing will happen. He will just fade away and he will pass away. But just at that point in time when everything was almost decided, there was a voice that came through that said, ladies and gentlemen on the call, this boy, if he had been in India, would be alive. Like a good soldier, he left the shores of India to go to Canada and from there on to the US, following the rightful instructions of the generals. All the generals are here on the call. He did what was expected of him. Granted that India may not have the best of doctors. They are not on par with the people perhaps in the US. But India has had a lot more cases of encephalitis than the US. There is a good chance he may survive. I think because he was a good soldier and he went there, we are duty bound to send the soldier back home. So ladies and gentlemen on the call, let us send the soldier back home. So as soon as this voice said this, there was silence. And then the CEO spoke up and he said, I think what the gentleman said is absolutely right. Let us send the soldier back home. Mm-hmm. And it so happened that he was put into an air ambulance, went to 5 different places, finally landed up in India and went straight to one of the hospitals in Delhi. 6 months later, Alok Gupta came out of the hospital into the waiting arms of his wife.
Fantastic.
One of the most tear-jerking moments. And I remember this as if this happened yesterday. Because the voice that spoke up that day is speaking to you today.
Ah, fantastic. What a What a great story, Nathan. Thank you so much. Lovely.
So
Fantastic.
all I'm saying is, if there is one thing we need to be doing as HR professionals is speak up. You will never know what is the impact of what you say. All of us are very powerful because what we do is at a subliminal level, we are able to create that impact.
Fantastic.
We may not be the CEOs of the place, but we do create an impact.
Fantastic. This is so amazing. Nathan, one last question. Being mindful of the fact that you are running temperature and your throat is infected. So one last question is from Dr. Badri Bajaj. During tough times, during difficult times, what is it that you advise people to do to be able to bounce back?
So Prem, around the year 2000, many people lost their jobs because of this Y2K. And I lost my job as well. It's not very well known. It took me 69 days to find a job. My children used to ask me, he said, Papa, are you not going to work today? And I used to tell them, but I'm on leave. But to do that for almost 2.5 months, crazy. But I did something at that time that I found useful, which is, I remember what my grandmother told me, have faith in yourself. And write down all your strengths on one side. Because strengths are the ones that will take you forward. Don't write your weakness. People will find weakness. But look at only your strengths. Never give up. Keep trying. I saw one lady from Ireland saying that, I wish that I could get a job in Ireland. To you, I say, ma'am, please contact a woman called Ishita Tripathi. She is in Ireland working for Novartis. And I'm sure that she will try to find you something in Dublin. I can say this with any amount of confidence because Ishi used to work with me years ago. Believe in yourself. Don't give up. The last one is ask for help. Reach out. Our community is a beautiful community. You don't have CFOs who are so tightly knit. No CEO is tightly knit. The community of HR professionals, something amazing about them is they're so gracious. Nobody competes with another HR professional. They're willing to give. They're willing to share. Ask for help. With this, back to you, Prem.
Fantastic. Nathan, it's so amazing. I think we have got such a bundle of amazing stories, such a pack of highly enriching and inspiring stories from you this evening. Thank you so much. It's amazing. I mean, your passion and your commitment, in spite of the fact that you are running temperature and you are so passionate about your purpose, inspiring people and sharing your experiences. That's amazing. Thank you so very much from the bottom of our hearts. With this, I would now thank you once again, Nathan. And I would now request Altaf ji to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of everyone. Nathan, once again, thank you. A big thank you to you. Back to you, Altaf ji.
Yeah. Sir, no words. I have to extend thanks, Nathan sir, Prem Singh sir, the way you have really could get all the gist of the book as well as the real stories which Sir has written and sir has practiced in the life and shared his tough time also, how nicely managed that time and how beautifully taken all those challenges. That is the heart of HR. Thank you so much, sir. All are asking from where they can get this book. So it's available on Amazon as well as bestseller. So thank you so much, Nathan sir. Thank you so much, Prem Singh sir. And we have Mr. Arvind Chauhan also with us. He is our Uttarakhand State General Secretary. So I would request Mr. Arvind Chauhan to close the session with a word of thanks, sir. With your kind permission, I want to. Mr. Arvind Chauhan, please, over to you, sir. You can unmute Arvindji.
Thank you. Thank you, Altaf bhai.
Warm welcome.
Am I audible?
Yeah. Clear voice.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was present in complete this webinar, and the book which is written by Nathan sir, The Heart of Work. So it is a great inspiring book, as he has drafted a real story into this. And really it is very inspiring because he has shared his own experience into this, like he was going into the government school. Much of the facilities are not available, and even he has grown up to the leader in a very big MNC. So that shows the hard work of people. So it is only we who decide our growth. Nobody can stop us except ourselves. So on behalf of this Uttarakhand chapter, Arvind Chauhan, and I am holding the position of General Secretary. So I am very grateful to the SV Nathan sir, who came here and teach us about the inspiring stories of himself or other people, which is drafted into this book. So again, I would enlighten that we have started this chapter recently in Uttarakhand, and under the leadership of Mr. Anil Gaur Sahab, and under the leadership of Mr. Prem Singh ji. So we are very new, and we are the youngest chapter, I think so. And under the umbrella of this Uttarakhand chapter, we have organized this webinar. And definitely the contribution of Mr. Altaf Hussain ji is very much into this. And along with the Altaf ji, there are a lot of people behind this webinar, like Dhananjay ji, Mr. Nalin ji, and from UPS, I was seeing in the webinar. So he was there. We are thankful to all the people, those who have attended this webinar, and I think 309 people registered themselves to get the benefit from this webinar. We are very thankful to all of them. People from Pan India, North, South, East, West were present there in this webinar, and definitely the book written by Nathan sir is very good book. And I think we must buy this and we should go through this. So we can guide the young leaders, so how to sustain or how to attain the leadership position, and what attributes he told us about the good leadership qualities. The vision is very must. If you see all the people, those who are the big industries, they have very clear vision, and even all the leaders have very good visions. And again, the most important thing for HR people, connecting with the people who are surrounding you, and in your family, in your friend circle, in your organization. If you are able to connect them properly, then definitely you are a great leader. And not only connecting with the people, if you are going to develop them better than yourself, so then you are a great leader. Similarly, you must able to stand up with them need of you. So definitely I am very much thankful for Nathan sir Prem sir, once again Altaf Hussain ji, Dhananjay ji, Nandini Saab, and all HR fraternity who had joined this. So I think there were 60, 70 people in this webinar. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you once again, and keep inspiring us always. So thank you, sir.
Thank you once
Thank
again,
you.
everyone. Nathan, a big thank you to you. You made it so inspiring, so wonderful. Thank you so much. Get well soon. Our best wishes for your speedy recovery. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Uttarakhand chapter, great job done. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Good evening. Be safe. Take care. We'll connect soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
President sir. Thank you. The way we saw your energy in your voice and your connect. Really, sir has given the mantra of connect and develop and care. The will make us the right HR leader and right HR human being. Actually, that will help us. That's true. Thank you so much, Prem Singh sir, for the nice and inspiring and vibrant leadership for us, sir. So we are really fortunate to be a part of National HRD Network under your leadership and Nathan sir leadership. And thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot, and thank you everyone who have attended this webinar. From across India, in spite of having busy schedules and after office hours, it's not easy to join, but you have joined. That means a lot. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Dr. T.V. Rao is there. Dr. Rao, thank you
Dr.
so
Rao,
much.
sir, Rao sir is there. Yes, correct.
Oh,
Dr.
yeah, I'm sorry I joined late.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have, of course, read the book. This is an excellent thing, and I'm so happy that you're organizing this session. The wonderful, Prem. Nice to see you. Is Nathan there?
Nathan just exited because we just concluded, and it was such a wonderful one. Nathan did it in spite of the fact that he was running temperature of 102 and his throat was not fine. It's in spite of that, he did this session, and it was more in the conversation format, more in the Q&A format. Extremely engaging. Nathan did a superb job.
Yeah,
And
well,
thank
that's
you so
very
much
nice to know.
for joining.
I have been, I'm a great admirer of his book. I used to read his LinkedIn posts.
Yes.
But I think I normally advise people, don't just buy the book, keep it with you, and every day or every week, one story. And think, share, reflect, because there are some very nice stories, particularly on HR values, how to sensitize yourself and so on. So I'm glad that you have.
Dr. Rao, Nathan is just calling. Let me take this call. Why don't he also